Welcome to Texas. As you have been welcomed already this morning, but I lived in Jersey and New York for 20 years and moved down to Dallas and love coming down to Austin. So it's a great city. I ran into Arch Manning last night walking out of the stadium. How about that? That was so cool. So it's great to be here. So what I want to do, and that was a great introduction, I want to give you a quick introduction about myself, and I'll just do it very quickly, but it's going to add up and it'll help fuel the story a little bit. I started my career down at SeaWorld in Orlando, and I was cleaning up the dolphin community pool and working in operations, and I absolutely loved the world of family entertainment. I thought it was incredible. And I graduated from the University of Georgia, go Dogs, and I was living in Orlando. I was single, I was happy, I had a convertible, it was incredible, and my boss came and said, we're going to transfer you to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You're going to work at Sesame Place. So here I am. One day I'm in Orlando, the next day I'm in Philadelphia, lonely, and not having a great time, but I was hanging out with Cookie Monster and Big Bird and Bert and Ernie and all the Zoe and Elmo and all these great characters. So from there, I followed my path, and I met an incredible leader at a company called DC Comics, which of course is the comic book brand under Warner Brothers. And I went there and I worked selling ads in comic books at DC Comics for a number of years. Then I worked in animation and some of the movie properties and promotions. And it was incredible to work on the tights and capes of DC Comics. There we were the licensor of the superheroes to another brand called the Six Flags theme parks. And many of you, I'm sure, have been there and ridden on some of the amazing rides. And I joined Six Flags to help build the first digital out-of-home network at Six Flags. And it was incredible. It was a ride line-based television network. It was incredible. We were going from billings from $7 million of sponsorship to $48 million in just 2 years. It was incredible. And that's really where I learned the power of the digital out-of-home networks. So let's fast forward. And what I'm going to show you today on Chuck E. Cheese is where we were as a brand, and then how we went through the transformation, where we are, and then where we're going to go. Okay, so first, I want to start a little trivia. Now, if you were paying attention, what does the E stand for in Chuck E. Cheese? Anybody? Entertainment. Excellent. So, I want to introduce Melissa McLeanis, our head of Digital Out of Home, and playing our very own Vanna White today. Yes. So we got some great prizes here. So you are correct, and Doug, you gave the answer. So everybody, I should have had everybody's hands up. So there it is. Okay. Nolan Bushnell, who invented the modern day arcade game, which was in the first arcade game, which was Pong, he also invented Chuck E. Cheese. What other company did he create? I think we got two simultaneous winners. It's Atari.
I got two prizes. I got a hat and I got golf balls.
Ooh. Hat. There you go. Okay, good.
I think we should have had to make them like leg wrestle or something for that. But okay, whatever.
Okay, all right. So that's just to get things going here a little bit. But you may not know this, but Chuck E. Cheese is actually the 10th largest pizzeria in the world. We're the largest arcade in the world. 1.3 billion gameplays every single year, which is incredible. We operate over 600 locations, 17 countries worldwide, and roughly about 460 here in the domestic U.S. We see 40 million guests every single year, and we invested $300 million for a total cleanup of our brand. So let's take you about where we were. Let's step back to 2019. I get a phone call. I'm at Six Flags, and I get a call, and they said, the recruiter says, we're hiring a new CEO for a company called CEC Entertainment. And I said, oh, what? I've never even heard of that. He goes, oh, it's Chuck E. Cheese. And I was like, oh. And I'm like, I don't think so. You know, it's recycled pizza, it's fights, it's ball pits, it's animatronics with the eyeballs falling out. And I'm like, I'm building this $1 billion theme park in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia right now. And I'm like, I just don't think that I want to step back to Chuck E. Cheese. They said, well, just go take a look at it just for fun. I said, all right. So I drove down to Grapevine, Texas, which is the closest one to me. And I walk in, and the place is a mess. You know, and it's dated, and kids are running crazy, and it looks like this. And then I'm getting ready to walk out, and then I hear 10, 9, 7, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then Chuck E. Cheese comes out the door. And I'm telling you, it's like a Taylor Swift concert. These kids were losing their I've never seen like now, mind you, I've worked with Superman, Batman, Bert and Ernie, Zoe, Elmo, Shamu, all these incredible properties, and I've never seen anything like it in my entire life. And I literally stopped and I'm like, we can do something special here. So I was so blessed to get the gig, but as I looked into the brand a little bit more, the place was a mess. I mean, it was a rudderless ship. It was losing brand awareness every single year. We had a 12-year decline. We went from a 58 to a 23 over those 12 years, leading into 2019. And this was a brand that was just not capital infused, cutting advertising every single year. To offset cutting advertising, you just take price. That's how we're going to make it up. And that is a circle of death for a brand. So I was blessed, though. I got the job, and I started January 21st of 2020. 6 weeks later, here we are. We're closing the doors, COVID hits, and within 3 months, we're filing bankruptcy. And I'm like, what are we going to do next? Well, the good thing is, at Six Flags, about 10 years prior to that, I wasn't in the front chair, but I was in a side chair, and we went through a debt restructuring. So I kind of knew the playbook, and I knew that Chuck E. Cheese had really strong bones. It's a great brand, made money, but just was overloaded with $1.1 billion in debt. And we worked really hard, and in 6 months, we were in and out of bankruptcy. We shed over $700 million in debt. We had a new balance sheet. We were a new company. We had new ownership. And we sat with them and said, look, here is the vision. You have a property that is so multi-generational popular that we can reimagine Chuck E. Cheese for a new generation of kids, a new generation of 5-year-olds. So we convinced the board, after raising money, public debt, to deploy all of this capital to remodeling every single location. And we had to reimagine this product. And we looked at it through the eyes and the strategy of a couple different things. One, we were going to be newer, we were going to be better, we were going to be cleaner, which is so important, because that was it was the knock, right? If you go to Chuck E. Cheese, it's gross, it's ball pits, this, So we had to get ourselves cleaned up. And then we had to think about what were the priorities. Remember, we were in the middle of COVID, so what were the priorities for young moms? These are young moms, first-time moms, protective mama bears, right? They're worried about their kids, and everyone was still terrified and scared to death of COVID, rightfully so. And this was 2021. And then the activities started changing. I'll show you how we met that challenge, because trends were changing so much, because it wasn't just about going out to an arcade. And for those of you who lived, especially in the Northeast, you were shut down for a year and a half. And we were shut down for almost 2 years at Chuck E. Cheese. And I'll tell you, no mom's going to say, well, let's go out so you can play arcade games. That wasn't flying. So we'll show you how we changed that. And then we really leaned into entertainment, because we were fooling ourselves on being a pizza restaurant. Yes, 10th largest restaurant, 100 million slices every single year. We're not a pizza restaurant. No one says, hey, everybody, on a Saturday afternoon, let's go to Chuck E. Cheese for a great pizza. Which, by the way, we have scratch-made pizza. It's absolutely delicious, but no one comes to us for our pizza. They come for the entertainment, and then they stay for the pizza, which is great. And then finally, what are we doing here at a Digital Out-of-Home conference? At the digital makeover that we have had, both inside the four walls and then outside the four walls as it relates to our media plan. So let's jump in. Okay, so this is what Chuck E. Cheese looked like in 2019. In a short 24 months, we remodeled 2/3 of every location, and over 3 years, we remodeled every single location. We now look like this. It is bright, it is clean, it had a complete design makeover. We leaned heavily into great prizes, great food. Chucky, of course, is the star of the show. But in 2021, no mom is going to walk into a Chuck E. Cheese that's going to be dirty. And there are 286 FECs opening up in this particular time, trampoline parks and multi-activity FECs. FEC stands for Family Entertainment Center. And we were just a dated product. So it was easier at times that a new FEC could open down the street and get everybody excited, and everybody wants to go and see the shiny new box, versus this legacy brand that kind of had some baggage, right? And there is no brand like Chuck E. Cheese. Our lifetime value is about 8 years. You come in at 2, you're out at 8, and you don't come back for 15 years. There's very little brands that operate like that. It's really, really interesting. But now, this is our Sunday best. We look great. For kids, you know what they care about? playing games and hanging out with Chuck E. Cheese. That's it. That's all they care about. They don't care if the bathroom's clean, if the pizza tastes great, if they want great prize, great games, and a lot of entertainment. But they don't drive. That's a problem for us. Mom drives. So we need to cater to mom, and we need to knock down the perception or the baggage that maybe we once had of not being so clean. And we're a high tactile environment as well. So let me tell you what mom cares about. Number one, safety. We're the only FEC in the entire world that has our patent program where you come together and you stay together. It's our Kid Check program. That is really, really important to mom, where we greet you and you come in as a family and you leave as a family. That's important. 2, cleanliness. We went out and we got a partnership, so we were science certified to make sure that we were cleaning all of our machines and everything was clean. And then what moms care about besides safety and cleanliness is, can my kid feel special, right? So any moms in here, you know there's nothing more incredible, dads too, but really moms, for birthdays, like, is my kid going to feel special? That's incredible, right? And that's something that we had to deliver on. So now we're clean, we leaned into birthday, we leaned into everything else, and that was great. Now, the trends changed. As I mentioned before, no mom is saying, hey, let's go out and just play arcade games. The world was moving so fast because active play was the trend. Kids needed to run around and burn off some energy after being cooped up in their apartment, in their townhome, their house for over a year and a half, almost 2 years. So we did something so different at Chuck E. Cheese because we were reopening, and while the adult restaurants, if you remember, were getting this huge pop of traffic and everybody was euphoric going out and eating and drinking and being happy, we're empty. And we couldn't figure it out. Like, why aren't people coming? Because these young moms still weren't ready to come out with their kids. And so we tested a small trampoline, only good for kids under 56 inches because we cater to small kids. And if you go to a Sky Zone, which is an incredible product, but if you're a 5-year-old, you're going to get run over by the teenagers. So we tested trampolines. That worked out well. Then we launched a kind of a ninja course. We called it the Chuck E. Cheese Superhero Playground. And it ignited our business. And so now we had a complement with the great arcade games, the incredible entertainment with the live show that we have, and along that, now active play. So things are starting to really pull together. So remember, here we are in 2019, no decor, bunch of games, animatronics falling out. Here we are today. A complete digital makeover, floor-to-ceiling jumbotrons, television network, a digital dance floor that we can change up all the time. It's bright, it's clean, it's primary colors. It looks absolutely fantastic. We kept going on the digital front. We replaced paper tickets with e-tickets. So it's greener, cleaner, and we saved $16 million. And I'll tell you what, this is just a complete side note, but when you go to Chuck E. Cheese, you're going to spend on average about 2 hours. And let me tell you, it's a circus in there. On a Saturday afternoon, it is packed. The kids are running crazy, and for parents, it's a lot to handle. So when we had the paper tickets, as you were heading out, when you're ready to go and you're ready to leave Chuck E. Cheese, you are ready to go, right? Kids, get your coats. Moms, get your purses. Let's head out. Oh, we got to get the prize. So now you had this bag full of tickets, and you had to spend 20 minutes putting the tickets in the ticket muncher, right? So you're having a great time, you're ready to leave, and then all of a sudden, 20 minutes later, your patience are kind of up. This was a great win for us from a guest sat perspective because you're having a great time. Now you just go right to the prize wall, you tap it, you get your prize, you're in the car, everyone's happy, kids sleeping in 5 minutes. That's a win, right? We built out the CEC Media Network, same thing we did at Six Flags. Melissa and her team came in. We worked with Vistar, I know you're in the room here, and some great partners to create our own television network. You can see there that digital dance floor. We have a partnership with the Harlem Globetrotters. We created a basketball floor, and you could kick around the balls and things like that, and that was great. Everything that we have now at Chuck E. Cheese is leaning into digital. So that's the product. So you go back to the 4 Ps. I'm just going to hit 2 Ps. Now let's talk about promotion. All right, so we're all savvy media people in here. We talked about the traditional planning that we had going in. We invested all of this money. We've got this incredible new experience. Let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about how this all new Chuck E. Cheese is out there. And let's look at the media channels that we typically had before. But then we had to look at, like, kids are our primary audience. So are we talking to them or not? So we had to look at that. Then we looked at how do we bring broad awareness back after the brand has been decimated from COVID. And this is where we really leaned in on digital out of home. And the results are now working, but they didn't. So here was the situation. We cut virtually all of our advertising in 20 and 21 and leading into 22. We lost 6 million guests between 20, 21, and then remember Omicron was 22, right? And for those of you, anybody from New York, okay, remember the vaccination requirements there? It was for 5-year-olds. Do you know how many 5-year-olds were vaccinated during Omicron in 2022? 22%. We had people going into the Bronx location, right across from Yankee Stadium, and they're ready to celebrate their kids' birthdays, and they weren't vaccinated. Our people are getting punched in the face. People are angry at that time in the world. It was such a tumultuous time. But from a business perspective, if you step back, we lost 6 million guests. That's our number one marketing vehicle. Not TV, not billboards, not radio, not anything. Our birthday parties, word of mouth. It's your first time you experience the brand. And we lost 6 million people. So now, I was born in 2019. Not me, but if a child was born in 2019, no advertising in 20, no advertising in 21, no birthday parties, cut your advertising way down in 22. You're leading in 23, you're 4 years old. That's prime time for birthday parties. You don't even know who Chuck E. Cheese is. You haven't seen a commercial and you haven't been there. That is a real problem for our brand. We took a 2.5, almost 3-year step back in our brand cycle. So we lost that. But our board, a bunch of private equity guys are like, well, you just invested $300 million. You better talk about it in all your advertising, right? Newer, better, everything's great, right? It's all about the all-new Chuck E. Cheese. And we promoted that. So we were back on in 2022, and we were talking about the all-new Chuck E. Cheese, and we wanted to go out primarily to mom. Our vehicles at the time, over-the-top TV, heavy search, so people are searching, kids' 5-year birthday party or a lot of heavy search, and then some linear TV for kids. Nothing was moving. The business wasn't moving at all. So we had to pull back, and we said, look, and we sat down as a management team and with our board and said, look, to a 4 or 5-year-old, a better, newer, remodeled Chuck E. Cheese is absolutely irrelevant. Because it's new anyway. It's the first time they've been. It's always new. They don't care if it's new. What do they care about? Games, Chuck E., entertainment. That's all they care about. So we had to switch our message. So we went back to our roots. Pardon me. And we went heavy on linear TV for kids. We really focused on that nag factor or their pester power or whatever they call it today. So, interesting fact. A child will ask their parents 9 times before mom says, let's go to Chuck E. Cheese. 9 times. Which means we need to be talking to that kid all the time. And when we showed our commercials to our board and said, here's our commercials, it didn't say new, it didn't say remodeled, it didn't say anything, because the kids didn't care. And we had to just talk about it until we were blue in the face to say, look, they don't care. Now, to moms, different story. So we focused our creative on value. As you know, the back half of 23, that's when the belt started tightening, government subsidies started burning out, and we really need to look at co-viewing opportunities. Now it was working. Pardon me, guys. Okay. Melissa, be ready. Okay, so messaging to kids versus parents. Oh my gosh, sorry guys.
This would be a good time to have Chucky come out. 10, 9, 8, yeah, everybody. Yeah. Let's go.
Thank you. Okay. So the kids I already mentioned, all about fun. To the parents, all the value propositions. And, the consumers were strapped at this time. So we moved all of our games to 1 point. It's a big deal because, when you go to some of these FECs, they gamify the arcade. So you got 3 points, 5 points, 10 points, whatever. We went right out and said, you know what? You give us $20, we're going to give you 20 games. Super simple to understand. Then we launched a membership program starting at $7.99 a month. Value and affordability. And then we moved our birthday program because people started not going out for their birthdays and staying in. We did a birthday party for 6 kids for $99. And how do we promote it? With this point of differentiation, we said, how do we get out to the masses? And we ultimately decided the best way was a major digital out-of-home campaign. So we bought some billboards. And we bought a lot of billboards. Then we went in theater. And now we're building back traffic. We're outpacing the industry right now, and things are working. Companies had 15 out of the last 18 months of positive same-store sales. So we are back, which is really, really strong. But the key components of what we use digital out-of-home for were all working. So you can see here, we're up in all of our value messaging. And then, most importantly, our unaided awareness is back growing. Okay.
I'm gonna bring you a little hot water and honey.
Oh, thank you.
It's very hot, but be careful. Hot water and honey, we're doing our best. You're doing great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I've been
See you later.
battling a cold all week. All right. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. That did the trick. I'm going to take you home with me. All right. Okay. So we're keeping digital out of home. Here's a big one. Ready for this? We cut our search advertising and replaced it with digital out of home. We cut all of our search. Still have organic, but no paid search. And we are we're doing this. It continues to work. So we're gonna keep doing that. And then beyond this, we have so much good news coming. Check this out. We have an animated special that Melissa is working on. It comes out this holiday. We have a new concept. We have our TV network, and it is just rocking. So I'm gonna stop talking before I can. But anyway, thank you very much. Oh my gosh. All right.
All
We're gonna
right.
bring Melissa up for.
I was going to say it feels cruel to have you do the Q&A, but Melissa, if you want to, we
Yeah,
can.
no, come on up. Come on.
Be a little wingwoman here.
She is the architect of all this.
All right. We'll give her a second to get up to the stage.
I'm gonna give you this mic too.
Okay.
You're on.
Well, I still may direct to you, so keep drinking that honey.
No, I'll keep my distance. Okay, good.
All right. Okay. Yeah. What questions do you have?
Doug will
I'll-
call on you.
We are very cruel in that sense, so do start preparing your questions. Oh, perfect. Up in the front.
I think I remember during the pandemic learning about Chuck E. Cheese entering, the food delivery business with Pasquale's, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you guys talk a little bit about the role that played in the turnaround?
Yes, so let's talk about it from a business initiative and then really kind of the results.
Give him your mic, sorry.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
We got millions of people watching at home too.
Okay, hello. Okay, so when I joined Chuck E. Cheese, I was so impressed with the pizza. I was thinking about how can we sell more pizza because, we're basically empty Monday through Thursday. 72% of our business is Friday, Saturday, Sundays. So it was part of a strategy that we were looking at of how could we sell a premium pizza during the week and take advantage of some of the off-premise. But all of a sudden, COVID hits. We're scrambling. We're not in the pizza business. So we didn't have third-party delivery set up. We didn't have anything. And we're not in the consideration set for pizza. So we said, let's reformulate our pizza mix in our recipe. And we had a little thicker crust. We had a zestier sauce. We had 2 different blends of cheese and Italian seasoning. It was a great product. And we sold it under Pasquale's. Pasquale's is the chef of the Munch's Make Believe band, right, from Napoli. So that was very natural for us. We thought we would do that. Now, this is a great case of you don't tell your story, someone else will. And what happened is someone in Philadelphia ordered a pizza, and the receipt had Chuck E. Cheese. And this was during a time where it was kind of big business versus small business and vice versa during COVID, right? Everyone was trying to protect the small businesses. and it felt like we were fooling people. And that was not the case whatsoever. But it was the nation's first ghost kitchen. And I'll tell you, it was successful enough for us because we were able to keep all of our general managers employed, and we paid them 100% and 75% of their bonus. So it saved our keisters during COVID. We actually kept it for 3 years longer. It became our R&D kitchen. And we just folded that in to the Chuck E. Cheese, and we now have the grown-up menu at Chuck E. Cheese. So, great memory.
I've got a question. For your digital out-of-home campaign, can you talk about... All right, try again. For your digital out-of-home buys, can you talk about how you thought through the placements of your inventory, the targeting, any of the considerations at a DMA level as you were making those buys?
Sure. So we bought the top 50 markets where we have penetration. We're a national brand, but we do have some consolidation. Then we would look at between 5 and 7 miles outside of one of our fun centers. And, in Dallas is a great example. We've got about close to a dozen locations. So we were able to split those locations up and look at our campaigns. Digital out of home was much more, the digital billboard campaign was more important to us than a static because we had those 4 messages that we were constantly rotating. And we'd be, you only have a birthday once a year, right? So we just didn't want the birthday message to be up all the time. So we'd rotate that through our membership, rotate that through our one point per game, and it turned out to be very, very successful. And then we did the same thing with the theaters, and that was full national buy on the theaters.
And the 5 mile radius, how is that informed? I'm curious, as a kid that grew up in the rural side where it took me 50 minutes to get to a Chuck E. Cheese, 5 miles is the sweet spot though for most locations?
Typically, it's 5 to 7 miles.
Got it.
Yeah, and because we'll have a Chuck E. Cheese in an urban environment between 7 to 15 miles away, and then you look at traffic patterns and things like that. So we were able to slot our out-of-home campaign about 5 to 7 miles.
Cool. Oh. And then if you can also give your name and company for the folks watching.
Christina, Big Happy. I'm curious, how did you guys
Happy
approach?
birthday.
Oh God.
Do you want us to lead you in the Chuck E. Cheese dance?
I was a little late this morning. No, I'm kidding.
She was on a call. She was on a call.
Yes, yes. How did you guys approach from a measurement perspective and optimizing campaigns from a digital out of home? Like, just curious how you guys what you were looking at from a metric perspective.
Monthly brand tracker. So, and we do that every single month. We look at families with kids 3 to 8 years old. So there is no, we're gonna run these, and it was very hard for us internally to measure some of that. It took time because it's a support vehicle. So it's it's the airstrike versus the ground strike, and we were able to look at that chart I showed a little bit earlier. I'm gonna just go back here. This is it right here. So this comes from our monthly brand tracker. And we could see as we were increasing the brand awareness in certain categories, we were more successful selling inside our restaurants and fun centers, right? So that's really how we looked at it. And it was a slow start. And, it's not something we immediately get, but, of course you get the anecdotal comments, but everybody's looking at what is the ROI. We now think this is a much, much better investment than search. And search is so easily, the ROI is immediate on search. You can see this. But this, for us, broad awareness. And plus, when you see the greatest mouse in entertainment on a huge billboard, it's great, and everyone lights up in the car.
Thank you.
David, as a mom whose kids have asked me to go to Chuck E. Cheese about 8 times, I think I'm almost there. I have a question for you. When you said your messaging wasn't really working and then you pivoted away from the newness and more to your roots, was there a role that testing and learning played in that? Did you test different messages? And if so, how did you approach that?
We did. We came out with, well, are you testing against mom or kids?
Either, I guess.
Okay. So when we originally came out, we had the heavy campaign, which really we were buying moms $25.49, and we had all the new campaigns. But the reality was, you don't care about Chuck E. Cheese until your kids say, "I want to go to Chuck E. Cheese," right? It's not even reaching you, and there was no recall whatsoever of newer, better, whatever. You haven't been in 15 years. You leave our brand at 8, 9 years old. You don't come back for 15 to 16 years. So there is no recall if it was new, or, you just don't remember. So that's why it was so important that when your child, get ready for the 9th, asks you on the 9th time, say, can we go to Chuck E. Cheese? Well, now you're going to come to our website. You're probably going to check it out within 48 to 72 hours, make that decision, and then you're going to get the messaging online. That's all we need to do is drive you online. Your kid will guide the desire, and then when you get there, you're going to see that it's clean, it's safe, it's amazing, and you're like, wow, this is great. And then you're going to go, and hopefully you'll have a great time. And our guest stat is showing that you are having a great time. But we tried different markets, different messages, and nothing was moving the needle until we really looked at, let's go after kids and then support it with our mom and online messaging.
That's super smart.
Cool. All right, David, Melissa, thank you so much.
I've done nothing.